Hi everyone, it's Daniel and Ailey here for Design Break, and today we're going through a branding and web design project we completed earlier in the year. So we're just going through the different elements that a project like this has and what it took to bring it all together.
With bigger projects like this, we normally work with illustrators and photographers, but this was an existing client who was kind of refreshing their website. We knew them really well and they already had a really good library of photos, so we did everything in-house. So for the project management, we used monday.com. We just kind of set up the milestones and how we were going to work through the project. I won't go into too much detail on this because it's probably the least interesting part of the project. But you can see we just sort of set it up here with different milestones and checklists with dates just to keep us right.
And maybe Ailey will go into more detail in a future project, but for now let's get on to the branding elements.
It wasn't a complete rebrand, it was kind of more of a brand refresh. So this is the old logo here with the orange and the blue. It wasn't too bad, but it was a little bit outdated. So we just freshened it up a bit, changed the blue for a more vibrant blue, and we dropped the orange. We kept the orange as a brand colour, but for the logo variations, we just kept it simple, blue and black. And then here are the other variations for different applications. So just a really simple refresh, nothing too in-depth.
Then we moved on to the typography and the stylings that would then eventually become the website mock-up. So Ailey worked on all the website design stuff as well as the branding. So I'll let you go through the design stuff just now.
Yeah, I still use Illustrator to do mock-ups before I get onto XD and other programs, just because it's the application that I know best, so I can really quickly get iterations out there, and it's really easy just for throwing ideas out there and sort of getting designs together quickly. So with a web mock-up, I'll start with the home page just to get all the stylings worked out and how things are going to work together. So we've got the header bar here, a call to action and hero section, typography, buttons, just sort of working out how things are going to interact with each other and how sections might look. Just to work out what the website's going to look like and how we're going to start structuring things.
We should add that there's a lot of in-between stages in here that we're missing out for obviously to keep the video short, but yeah, this is kind of more closer to a polished thing, but yeah, there's obviously the iteration stages.
Yeah, so this was the final mock-up. There was a lot of like discarded designs before this, so we didn't kind of just like appear on this.
Yeah.
Once we've worked out all the stylings from the initial mock-up, I'll go ahead and put that into a sort of style sheet that we can then refer back to and make sure everything's going to be consistent. So Daniel works on the build while I do the design side of it. So it's good to have this as like a reference point for us both to refer to make sure everything's looking the same. So we've got the typography, the buttons on light and dark backgrounds, and the colours and things like that.
So we really wanted the project to have a sort of custom bespoke feel to it. So Ailey designed these custom icons. One of the key things was that obviously the bike was going to be used throughout the site, and most icon packs, the bikes just have a bit of a amateur kind of cheap feel to them. Whereas a Santa Cruz mountain bike has a distinctive shape to it. So it was important to get that across in the icon.
As well as the bike with the distinctive shape, the Cycle Highland store is actually a historic building in Ballater, and we really wanted to get that across, so that was another reason for doing the icon, so you can see that here. We've just got the pavilion.
Yeah, it's one of those that you kind of know if you would know that was the building if you'd seen the building, but that might not instantly communicate what the building looks like, but you know it if you see it. Yeah. If you know, you know. So once the design phase was finished, we then moved on to the build. And that's where I worked on the project. So the website build was done in Webflow. I'll just load the website up just now. Webflow is a fantastic tool. I've got a few other videos on Webflow and I'm probably going to do some more in the future, but the animation tools are great. So you probably noticed the page load animation there. You're able to create these really nice animations without having to write too much code, which is great. So hopefully you'll recognize this from the mock-up that Ailey did, because we managed to get most of this remaining consistent, which doesn't always happen with client projects, with changes in between. But we managed to get most of this pretty close to the original mock-ups.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't always work how you imagine it. Obviously with Illustrator and even XD you can do a lot more things with the design than you can sometimes do, but Webflow obviously makes it a lot easier because you've got more flexibility with that.
Definitely, yeah. When it comes down to the amount of time that would be involved in developing something that would take minutes in XD, developing it would be out with the client's budget on the website. So it's not like it's not possible, it's just not possible in the budget. One of the major aspects of the project that we're not going to go into detail because it's a whole other video in itself is the strategy and the planning of the site layout. So you might have noticed that the menu is different than what it was in the mock-up, and that's because they have a lot of pages in the site. It's a really large site. There's lots of snippets of content that need to be sort of broken down across pages. That whole strategy element was something we did with the client to get their ideas sorted out into something that made sense on the website. So, but we will probably talk about that in a future video on how we did that. So you can see these menu animations here. There's also this page transition animation. And then one of the pages that I think we're both quite proud of is the individual bike page. So for a really high-end product like a Santa Cruz mountain bike, you really need a high-end experience. So that's what we've tried to create here. We've got this animation that allows the bike to be full width or nearly full width of the page, so you can get a really good look at the bike before scrolling down, and then it'll size down there. The detail images first because everybody likes to see the pictures. And then the sort of technical info, and then the specs that are available. So we have all the specs here. We won't go into detail of how we created this order system here, but basically each of these bikes has a configuration you can then go on to place an order for. So yeah, and one of the little quirks that we discovered with the animation was that we wanted this page load animation to leave the navigation there. Every time you click between the pages, when you go into the home page, it takes up the full height. So we had to add an extra animation that hides the menu when you go from page to page. So one other quick note was the photography. So in a project like this, we would normally hire a photographer to go out and take professional pictures, but they already had a large library of really good images. So we just went out for a half-day session and did some on-site photography to get pictures of the building and some of the other bikes they sell, because they obviously sell other brands as well.
So that's just a really quick overview of the process from start to finish. Obviously, we've glossed over quite a lot. It was quite a big project. We didn't talk a lot about the strategy. I know we've touched on it before, but that was a really big part of the project. So we'll maybe go into more detail on the different parts in a future video.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about what the strategy element encompasses. But yeah, let us know what you thought about the project, and we'll put a link to Cycle Highlands down in the description below, so you can check that out.
If you've got a project you're working on that you're willing to share, just post a link below. We'd love to see what you're working on.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.